Register your show at the end of your show, and you're on.
Hi, this is American Patriot with Tom Leaguer. Today we're going to be discussing the National Defense Authorization Act, the Patriot Act, TSA, and Homeland Security. I'd like to take some callers today. The first show was kind of like a miscellaneous, just my beliefs. So I mean, I could understand how some people would have seen it as kind of like unorganized, misconstrued it as, you know, not professional. But I was just trying to get it across that this is what it's going to be about. This is what the show is. So we're going to be talking about arbitrary acts of government. I'd really like to take some calls from people who have opposite opinions from me. We're gonna be having usually one of my friends, Anthony, who's in Georgia. He usually is gonna be coming on the show. He's gonna probably be a mainstay. He doesn't come on right away, but right now I want to talk about the National Defense Authorization Act. This is an act that was passed through the Obama administration. Obama has said that he will never use this act unconstitutionally. I think it is unconstitutional for him to even have this act ratified because nobody should be denied their due process of law. They should not be denied the right to see their accusers, to be jailed, to be tortured. It doesn't matter if, from the poorest person to the richest person, terrorist, non-terrorist, there should be no act by our government, which is supposed to be a just constitutional government. In 1776, we fought a war to get away from a king, a government that had their hands in everybody's lives and could do what they want, when they wanted, and how they wanted. We fought to get away from taxes. We fought to get away from arbitrary acts of government. We fought a war to get away from oppression, and I see these acts, these institutions being put in place after the Patriot Act, which pretty much made the way for the National Defense Authorization Act. The National Defense Authorization Act is kind of like a twin sister, or like if you have a game on the computer, you have the game and the expansion pack. There's the Patriot Act and the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. The National Defense Authorization Act is like the expansion pack to the Patriot Act. During the Bush administration, they put in the Patriot Act, which allowed terrorists from foreign countries to be jailed without due process of law, to be tortured, to be imprisoned for indefinite amounts of time. It pretty much formed Homeland Security, which is, in my mind, Homeland Gestapo, and it helped form the TSA, the transportation. I forget what it's the acronym for, but it's all kind of the same arbitrary thing. And I believe that when I go through an airport, I should not have to be visually raped by somebody as an American to get on a plane. And it's not just foreigners are not the only ones that are getting hurt by this. We haven't caught one terrorist. We haven't really seen anything that's positive come out of this, except for the fact that Americans are being visually molested, harassed by an arbitrary agency of the government that is controlling our movement and travel throughout the U.S. and the world. You used to be able to get on a plane and you didn't have to go through an X-ray machine that could see everything, pretty much everything. I remember seeing a YouTube video of a new mother who was breastfeeding, but she had breast milk in containers, and they held her pretty much. She had in her suitcase. She had a list of the TSA rules for flight, They would not let her touch her luggage to get this piece of paper to show them that on their own rules they allow breast milk as to not be subject to X-ray scan because it could harm that. They would not let her get it. They kept her in a small see-through booth. They kept harassing her until she pretty much missed her flight. She did miss her flight. Not pretty much. She did miss her flight. They scanned it anyways. The breast milk. It was completely contaminated with radiation, and she was, completely distraught, which is understandable. I mean, this is not what the government is there for. This is not what we should be putting up with as Americans. I really would like to hear from some opposing positions. Anybody, you can call in. I need the number, but I don't have it off. It's the number is 935. It's 414-935-2951. Again, this is my second show. I'm still trying to get things together, but this one's going better than the last one so far. Again, the number is 414-935-2951. I beg you, if you have any disagreements with me, if you have an opposing point, please call me. Call up. We can talk about it. We can get things started. With a really good discussion. Maybe you can change my viewpoint, because I cannot see any good that's coming out of the Patriot Act, National Defense Authorization Act, Homeland Security, or TSA. Again, I say that there's nothing that is good that has come out of it. We haven't caught any terrorists. We haven't stopped any World Trade Centers from falling down, anything of that magnitude. Which I have a complete different belief about that, but that's for another show and another time. The National Defense Authorization Act, let's talk about that for a little bit. What the National Defense Authorization Act pretty much does is takes the Patriot Act to the next level. It says that not only are foreign terrorists, if there's suspected foreign terrorists, they aren't just those are not the only people subject to these taking away the due process of law, torture, imprisonment, but American citizens. It says, and it's the wording is very deceiving, very deceiving. The way they word it is they try to make the whole American citizen thing sound more sweet, more sweetened up, but it altogether is that if you disagree with the government and if they view you as a terrorist, they can jail you, they can take away your possessions, you don't have a trial, you can get tortured, you can be put in Guantanamo Bay. And I see that as arbitrary to the people. And again, Obama said that he would not use this unconstitutionally. How are you, if you use it in any way, it's unconstitutional. Even if it's a foreign person that has been naturalized, become a naturalized citizen, it is arbitrary to our government. It's arbitrary to the people. Everybody deserves due process of law. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to impress this upon you, sisters, brothers, daughters, sons of this great country. We cannot let our government run rampant. We cannot let fear and paranoia persuade us to give up little bits of liberty, and inches by inches, it goes inches by inches, feet by feet, mile by mile. We are giving up freedoms to a government that does not want to give these powers back. They want them. They need them. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. We cannot let this happen. We cannot let America crumble into some kind of neo-Nazi Russian fascist mutant, an autocracy of mass proportions that wants to turn the world into some kind of cattle breeding ground that everybody that's not part of the leading class is going to be subject to their will and do what they want, and dumbed down and used as pretty much cattle for the autocracy, the people that are up there, that powers that be, and people sit around and they look at their TV and they listen to the mainstream media, and they think that they're safe, and they just want the status quo. They don't want anything. It can never happen in America. I'll tell you what, I'm sure the people in Germany said the same thing before the Nazis took control, or even after the Nazis took control. The Jews would say, oh, he's just crazy. This will never happen. But then when people started getting taken to concentration camps, guess what? It does happen. It can happen. It will happen. It's happened throughout history, and we need to do something about it. You need to awaken, America. And I'm not just talking about a small awakening. You need to look over the facts. You need to see what's going on. We need to get together as American people, as cities of a nation conceived and birthed from liberty. Through fire and pain and death and blood, we have fought for liberty, and we cannot let it just slip through our fingers with wild applause and say, yes, we need the Patriot Act, and yes, terrorists are after us. The same thing that Hitler was doing with the communists. Oh, the communists are doing this, the communists are doing that. His own SS and his own followers were the ones that blew up the Reichstag and then blamed it on the communists. So then they had a pretty much a martyrdom, a huge martyrdom that they could hold up to the people and say, look at this shining beacon of the horribleness of the communists. You need to give up this liberty. You need to give up some of your rights so we can take charge and clean it up, and we'll definitely give the powers back, and we'll definitely do what we said we're going to do. But that's not how government works. That's not how people work. People are corrupted. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And as an American citizen, I will not let this happen, and I've said it multiple times. If I have to fight till the end of my life, if I have to die for the cause of liberty, I will. There are words and principles that I believe in, and it says that all men are created equal in God's eyes, and that we are all entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to me, that is key. We need to hold up to these principles. We need to look at the Constitution and use it, and not let it be arbitrarily encroached upon by acts of the government that nobody contests. Everybody just wants the status quo. We're deceived by these paranoid delusions of the government, the war on terror, axis of evil, just this overpowering nationalist view that we're always going to be right and the government's always going to do what's right because we're America. No, they're not always going to do what's right, especially not by the people. And I'm sure once it's too late, people will regret it. But the thing is, we see these things now. Look at the facts now. Do it before it happens. For one time in world history, we need to do it before it happens, because once it happens, it's too late. Let's look at Homeland Security. Homeland Security, TSA, kind of the same thing. They're pretty much the Gestapo. They carry out the orders of, within the United States, they carry out the orders of the Patriot Act, the National Defense Authorization Act. So say that you are on the list of people that as a suspected terrorist, the Homeland Security agents will come to your house, take your possessions, your wife, children, family can't do anything about it. You are pretty much a non-entity. They can do what they want with you. They can torment you. They can jail you for indefinite amounts of time, and you can say nothing about it. And that is what I disagree with. And again, how can you say that you're not going to use, how can Obama say that he's not going to use this unconstitutionally? If he uses it at all, it's unconstitutional. It's jailing Americans. It's banning American rights. I believe that suspending habeas corpus or suspending due process of law, it's all the same thing. It's all a push for power, and it's all a game that they think that they can win, and that is not what America is about. I'm just kind of right now waiting for calls. Again, the phone number is 414-935-2951. Don't be shy. If you have a differing opinion, I'd like to hear it. I'm not here to berate you or anything. I'd like to hear it and have a good discussion. We're still waiting for Anthony, who's in Georgia. He's a U.S. cavalryman for the U.S. Army. He has a lot of good points, and he's not the only one in the Army with these points. A lot of these men and women are suffering the consequences of what our government's been doing, and that's one point that we cannot ignore. I think more people in the U.S. government are for. Or I'm sorry, more people in the U.S. Army are for what people like Ron Paul, what I talk about, what Michael Wordsworth on this station talks about. This is what the people want. They want freedom. I understand the 99%. I wasn't really involved with the 99%. I made some speeches there with the whole movement, the Occupy movement, 99% thing. They had somewhat of the right idea and somewhat twisted. A lot of people were just there for the sake of being there, causing disturbances. But what we need to do is, and it was very disorganized, what we need to do is have a movement that is organized, has leaders who really, and not essentially leaders, but statesmen, real statesmen. There is a politician and there's a statesman. A politician is a lifelong career political man. A statesman is a person that goes out, makes the change that they want to see, and then goes home. That's what we need. We need statesmen. We need people that are devoted to these causes, not because it's going to give them success, money, fame, but because they want to see true change. And that's what we need in this United States. And that's what we're lacking, are people that are willing to stick to their convictions, go out and do what they say, and then not care what the military-industrial complex or the powers that be or the oil companies or the energy, moguls. You want people that aren't going to do, opposite of what they say, aren't gonna favor the interests that got them there more than they're gonna favor the people. Lobbyists, evil, complete evil. And I believe that lobbyists and corporate entities are part of the problem and the part of the reason that some of these laws got passed. I believe that the Patriot Act, the National Defense Authorization Act, TSA, Homeland Security, they're all part of the same push, the same entity of encroaching on American liberties to obtain a certain goal. And that goal is to have the American people willingly give up their rights and then never give them back, use them unconstitutionally, be able to stop newspapers from printing certain things, to be able to stop radio stations from saying certain things, to stop people and silence them for good. It's the same thing that's happened over and over in history, is subversiveness, a suppression of free thinking, free ideals, free speech, and an uprising of complete contempt for liberty and the freedom of the average man. And that's what we're here to stand up for. And what I can't understand is why these things are happening, why people are just standing by and sitting there and not doing anything, not getting involved. I mean, yeah, there was a small movement that died out, like, again, the 99%, the Occupy movement, and it didn't take root for reasons that there was no organization. We need people that are going to get together and do these things in an organized fashion, maybe not violently, but organized. Everybody organized, not just some people organized, not just half done, half baked, but a full-fledged force of U.S. citizens getting together and speaking out against arbitrary laws of government, arbitrary acts of government. When Obama ran for election, he said the first time, as soon as the Patriot Act comes across his desk, he will filibuster it. When it did come across his desk, he did nothing, absolutely nothing to stop it, to hinder it. He didn't even quaff over its passing. I just don't understand support for a man that goes against every ideal that he's had. He says that he said that he was going to completely destroy there'd be no lobbyists in his or destroy lobbyism in his campaign and in his cabinet, in his in his administration. But he has more Wall Street lobbyists in his cabinet than any president in history. And I don't understand how somebody who's lied so much can have such a following of people that follow him religiously, like a cult of personality. Obama has lied more than any president in the United States history. And I know Bush was an unpopular president, but and Obama is still more popular than he is, but he didn't lie as much. He was at least dumb enough to tell the truth. But Obama, even with his inexperience, is a well-versed liar. Folks, if that's a surprise to you, then I'm sorry to say he is a well-versed liar. I really urge you to watch the Obama Deception. It's on YouTube. You can watch the full thing. You go anywhere online, you type the Obama Deception in. Just watch it for a little bit, and then once you watch it, check the facts. Because you could say that it's somebody just saying things, but really it is facts about him. I just gave you some of the lies he's told. If I really wanted to sit here and tell you all the lies he's told, I could probably sit here for months, years, decades. It's that many lies. He has done nothing but corrupt his administration with Wall Street lobbyists, people serving private interests, and I just don't. I don't understand. This is the big thing. It just gets back to people believing a liar, not looking into the facts, being satisfied with the status quo, not looking into some of the bills that are being passed. I mean, if you really look at the National Defense Authorization Act, it should have caused an uproar. People should have been storming the White House. All the things that are in it are completely against anything that is in the national the traditional national consciousness, national moral concepts. I guess if Anthony wants to call in now, he can. We really haven't gotten any callers. I'm kind of disappointed because we haven't been able to touch base on any real other points. And that, again, this show, I really want it to be about certain points. We bring up the certain points and then discussing them with other people, whether it be someone with the same political and moral views, somebody with opposing political and moral views, somebody with no political and moral views, somebody just from the street. We need the view of the average citizen, and that's what this show is about. And we can't afford because America can't afford to let itself be completely molested by a government that's gone crazy. So yeah, I'm just waiting for some people to call in.
My phone's not even ringing.
Hey, what's up?
Right. Hey, what's up? Yo.
Hey, what's up, Anthony?
Yo. Not too much, man.
Turn down your PC.
Yep, I got it.
All right, man. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed.
It's unfortunate we didn't have any other callers, or you didn't have any other callers.
I'm really disappointed. I kind of wanted to touch it. That's kind of where I'm most comfortable is talking to other people, whether it be debating, whether it be talking with somebody with the same views. It's just I feel that it's more productive even to have somebody on
a different political discourse.
Yeah, exactly. To either persuade me, which would be very hard. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of stuck in my views because I've done the research, and I know you've done the research. But to have somebody else on here with different views, it gives an enlightening spin to the viewers, especially, or the viewers, listeners. It gives it an enlightening spin, a lot more than it would just me talking.
Oh, right.
So, what are your? I want to hear some of your views. I know they're about the same as mine, but some of your views on the National Defense Authorization Act, TSA, Homeland Security.
Well, none of this is new. None of these unconstitutional acts are new. There was a bill that was authorization for military force against terrorism, which was passed right after September 11th, like 7 days after September 11th.
Okay.
Which essentially gave the President of the United States the ability to be the judge and juror, because he was the one who decided if an individual was guilty of aiding, abetting, help plan, fund anything regarding 9/11. And like giving one person the kind of power.
Yeah.
Let's say, for instance, let's go hypothetical. Let's say the government, let's say the president was corrupt in a sense, where special interests had more control over his policies than the American voter. Using that kind of authority, I mean, you could definitely abuse it. And I don't think there's anything that's happened in the past 11 years that's proven to the American people that our government is worth trusting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
What was that?
Exactly. One thing I want to say, like you said, the military I can't. What was that called again? I actually have to study that myself. I didn't know about
the authorization for military force against terrorists.
Okay, exactly. The authorization for military force against terrorists. That was passed 7 days after 9/11, right?
Right.
Or so.
September 18th, I believe.
Okay. So then we got that tip of the pyramid, and then we got the Patriot Act. Kind of the middle part. And then we got the National Defense Authorization. It's just like like I said, like a video game with expansion packs. It's like how many liberties can we take away from the people? How much stuff can we sneakily take away from the people without using it right away? Just take it away, and then finally kind of pull the rug out from under the Constitution and the people themselves,
Right. Yeah. And it's
go ahead.
When the NDAA was signed by Barack Obama on December 31st in the wee hours of the night.
I'm sure everybody was watching Washington on December 31st.
Exactly. It was New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
That's kind of suspicious if you think about it. Like, what would be the point? Why would you do that? Why would you sign it?
How many people how many senators do you think were there? Actually able.
Well, it passed the House like 200 and some. It was like 280 to 136 or something. 283 to 136. Yeah.
That's still pretty freaking close, man. I mean,
right.
Even 100 votes is like, that's still close. I mean,
right.
And how many of those votes were bought or corruptly obtained? Say.
How many of them? Right.
Yeah. How are they obtained?
How many were bought with intimidation? Essentially, how many people were pursued against their own will to do so?
And intimidation. The blank check that was given to, I believe, the Federal Reserve, or I forget exactly. I gotta look it up. But there was a blank check given to the Federal Reserve. Nobody wanted to sign it, and the actual Federal Reserve threatened the Senate or the Congress with complete economic collapse unless they signed it. That doesn't sound like a government that I want to live under. I mean, when you can threaten the whole Congress and frighten them so much until they follow your orders. I don't see that as being just at all.
No, it's not. I think the main thing people need to do is understand.
Excuse me.
What the premise that this country was built upon. They were United States that are unified under a single federal government.
But
those individual states are the ones that should essentially have more power over the people than the federal government.
The thing is, the federal government, in my mind, starting with FDR, that's when they got FDR kind of put steroids into the federal government. They kind of just pumped it up, and from then on, it was federal government over state government. State governments are the ones that should be ruling. They're it needs to be down from the lowest individual to the top of the state government. Those are in between there. That's where the ruling should be, not from the federal government down.
This is an idea I like to bring up to people when they consider my viewpoints.
Yeah.
Super far right, conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
At what point does the Constitution become relevant? If the president can,
where is it?
Create.
What I really want to ask.
Acts and what's that?
What I really want to ask is, where is the Constitution? Because I think if I really wanted to look for it, it'd be on the doormat of the Congress, the doormat of the House of Representatives, and the doormat of the White House. Just wiping their feet on it. Just wiping them off. Mudding it up, because it really isn't relevant. They don't. It's just to them now. It's like toilet paper. They don't care. They don't. It's something to be bent, broken, completely torn in pieces. It's not anything to be obeyed. I know that because from what we've seen, it's not been obeyed. And to me, at least when I was in elementary school up until beginning of high school, I thought that was the be-all, end-all of government ruling in the U.S. But when I had my eyes open to what was happening, especially after September 11th, there was stuff happening before September 11th, unconstitutional. It started a while back, but what really opened my eyes was after September 11th, what the Constitution really meant. And I want to bring up this. It ties into the whole education system that you guys were talking, or you and Michael were talking about last week. Is why isn't there a complete 100% emphasis on every student that graduates school in the United States has a complete understanding of the individual amendments in the individual articles of the Constitution? Do you know? Wait. Go ahead.
Legal immigrants that come to the United States from anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter, Mexico, Eastern Europe, anywhere, they have to take tests.
Yeah.
Regarding the way the United States government works.
Pretty much civics. You want to know how long I had only half a semester of civics 1 year out of high school. And it was just a brief overview. And it's like, that should be, okay, you have English, you got math, you got science, you got history. We need to have from first grade, from kindergarten on all the way to 12th grade, a civics class, a
comprehensive civics class.
Yeah, exactly. We need to have what we need to have is a comprehensive overhaul of education. We need to. What I want to get rid of, instead of them getting rid of competition and everybody not hurting anybody's feelings. I don't care if your feelings hurt. You need to put, and if the education system's not going to do it, you need to push your kids to do it on your own. Kids need to be pushed. It does not harm them. To an extreme, yes, but to push them to be better in a way that is healthy and productive, I feel is not bad at all. I remember my dad, he told me, he's the one that taught me about history, to value history. He taught me to not accept things at face value, to investigate. and to really push myself. I mean, I might have not been the greatest student, but even not just. I mean, the only reason I feel I wasn't as great a student as I could have been in high school and throughout school was because of the way the education system is. It doesn't challenge. It really doesn't. I mean, I remember when me and you would hang out, Anthony, at my house. We'd have more intelligent discussions at my house, doing maybe questionable things, but we would, you know, we might have been smoking something or doing something, you know, that's irrelevant, but we would have more intelligent conversations smoking reefer at my house than I would have in high school at any age, or at any age in my schooling at all. I mean, I know I don't smoke reefer anymore, to the viewers out there, but
well, and that's the other thing is I don't think school is supposed to even be intended to be intellectual at all. It's intended to be academic. Remember a formula, you know, remember a date that really makes no difference if you know it or not.
The thing is,
we don't actually want to invoke thinking. We don't want
actual creative
question what is happening.
Yeah, they don't want creative problem solving. The thing is, mathematics was Einstein's. While he was in school before he flunked out, which he flunked out way before high school. Before he flunked out, mathematics was his worst subject. But when he started thinking on his own and doing stuff on his own, he became a creative problem solver, and that made him be able to grasp the formulas and make formulas and grasp things. It's complex problem-solving thinking. That is what causes people to learn and become more knowledgeable, because then they do it in a way that, because the brain wants to learn, the brain wants to solve complex problems, but in the right way. I mean, just let's take history class. How many times did you learn in history class all the great, grand, wonderful things that all these historical figures did, but you never learned their personal lives?
Terrible things?
Yeah, you never heard about the terrible things or their personal lives. But these things don't deter you from admiring great men or women of history any less. It actually makes them more human and you more willing to learn about them because you can identify with them.
Right.
And it's just this sterile, formula-driven education system that really just drives kids away from education rather than to it. It drove me. It didn't turn me on one bit. I mean, the only classes that really were good to me were the AP ones, and I really should have pushed myself more when I was in high school in the beginning to get AP classes, because those were the ones that really made you think. You had discussions. It was like a college class. You sat there, took notes, and discussed, and gave your opinions. And that is what education's about. Look at Athens back in the beginning, pretty much the beginning of time in Greece. The college at Athens, they sat there and they talked. They didn't sit there and learn formulas and do worksheets and made sure that they were all in and graded. So, you know, and so the teacher took them in, graded them as fast as she could because she needed to get out and have a bottle of wine with her new boyfriend, or you know, didn't give a. Teachers back then were teachers because they loved teaching, not because they needed a paycheck.
Yeah.
And it's become a completely different system, and that's what's unfortunate for the kids that aren't going to push themselves into complex thinking. I mean, me and you per se did push ourselves into thinking complexly and loving knowledge and stuff like that. But a lot of kids aren't going to do that after high school. After they get out of school, they'll just do what they need to pass, and then they're done. They're not going to think complexly. They're going to become the people that I like to call drones or cattle, just smart enough to do the paperwork.
That's exactly what they are, because the people who are academic at school, 4.0, 3.9 students, they're the ones that would always go to school for, I'm sorry, I mean, business is what makes the world go around.
Yeah.
But they were always business majors or HR or actuarial sciences. But people, and this is my personal experience, and this might not go for everyone, but it seemed like the more intellectual, but perhaps they didn't do as well in school, they were the ones that would end up going to, technical college for 2 years, getting associates, and coming to be anthropologists or, pursuing a degree in anthropology or
because
sociology or psychology.
You gotta first get your bearings as a being able to make money. Money makes the world go round. You need to get your bearings, get your job, and then you can pursue your intellectual dreams. I mean, a job in anthropology is not easy to get. I mean, even if you were the academic type in high school and then you went to like a really good college, you might go after that and not do anything with it because
there's no job market for it.
Exactly. But a lot of times those who get their job first and then they go into the intellectual things that they love end up getting them because they have the patience, they can wait, they do their thing, It's unfortunate. Hold on one second. Let me just finish. They do their thing, and then they become, they push themselves to become anthropologists. See, the people that go into it straight out of high school, and the ones that did good in high school, they usually, don't have that passion. When you have that passion, you want to find out the extra bit. You want to do the extra. And that's not all sterile formula. And the ones that usually are intellectual in high school and so on, and in regular school, the mandatory from the mandatory school they have a very sterile mind, a very I forget if it's left or right brain. That's the very formula mathematical geared brain, but it's very sterile. And then the ones that are free thinkers, deep thinkers, they're the ones that really have the passion and really go get it. But go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, you pretty much touched base. I was just going to say that I think there's so many. It opens up a whole Pandora's box of how I think, but people are reluctant to pursue a degree that they're passionate about because there's a small job market, like anthropology. I mean, you're probably not going to be doing field work.
No.
For a museum, because museums are closing down because people have no interest in history.
Exactly.
And it's the people that pursue that degree which could end up never working in their field and get a job at a factory, but they still have that edge to them where they know. I don't know. I guess it's what you know. I don't know how to explain
let me take it this way too. Okay, so government is making education sterile. They're not encouraging kids to think deeply and complex thought, which leads to no interest in history, which leads to museums closing down, which leads to an almost automatic turn of events, which is causing knowledge, which would make people more free thinkers and more opposed to a fascist or a government that would take their liberties away. Yeah, right. It's like instead of Hitler burning the books, it's like he's making the people just fade out of that. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
So it's like
it's a perfect system.
It's a perfect system. It's because
you're not extreme at all. You're not being an extremist at all. You're just pushing the cattle. The cattle.
Yeah, teaching the cattle what they need to do. It's a training program. It's taking away the will. It's doing it without even having to push a whip or cow prod. You're just making people into. It's because now this is the age of technology and science, and we can figure out how the brain works. So they don't. They don't need to do all the massive. How do I put it? Like the Nazis had to, massively oppress people. They don't have to do that now. They can just make them think. They can make people want or think that what they're doing is right, but when it's really not. And the only people that are going to know that it's really not right are the people that haven't taken to that programming.
Right. They haven't been socialized to.
Yeah.
To Americanism.
Let's call it that.
Well, what is now? What is now become?
Americanism is a autocracy that is behind the scenes, a massive patriotic, but not patriotism, nationalism, because they don't know anything about the Constitution. So if you don't really obey the Constitution, it's not patriotism, it's nationalism, a blind nationalism, followed by a subversive, mentally subversive education practices, and then just a government that doesn't care about no, that's pretty much it. It's pretty much it. The autocracy behind the scenes, the government the government that's the pawns that follows the orders of the powers that be, the extreme ignorant nationalism that's not really patriotism at all, but just a nationalist extremism, and then which means that everybody thinks, the citizens always think that what America's government is doing is right, and then the subversive education system. It's all a huge circle of America being completely wiped away. I mean, because the only real threat to what I talked about last week, the central bank of the world and the government of the world, is America, because we're the only last ones that would rebel against it if it outright took place. So what they're doing is pretty much weeding out as many people that they want to make the people as submissive as possible, and the ones that they can't make submissive, they're gonna maybe do away with, put in FEMA camps, who knows, but they want to make the majority of people cattle. And for some reason, Europe, even though we see them as this highly civilized, highly educated people, they still are following the EU. Russia and Asia haven't hit that point yet, but and then Africa just is in chaos, and then there's South America, and Central America, which is in chaos, but. I mean, so there's no real there's no real threat to their plan except for China, maybe, but I don't think so. I mean, I don't think they'd really be a problem. I mean, if I was thinking like they do, and America is the big problem. They're the bucking bronco, the stallion that would buck against any system that would try to take away their freedoms. That's why they need to use the system that they're using. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me, but that's the way I see it.
Absolutely.
So, what do you say? I know you know a little bit about Homeland Security. I don't. I know a little bit, not as much as I should. Like I said, this show's just still starting. So, and I've been busy. I've been really busy moving and stuff. So, excuse me. So I haven't had as much time to research. But I think we might make a part 2 to this episode next week to get more in depth in the facts of Homeland Security, TSA, Patriot Act, National Defense Authorization Act. But what's your views on Homeland Security and TSA, especially TSA?
Oh.
Or do you have any facts, any personal experiences?
Okay.
Go ahead, just talk.
I don't have actual case names, unfortunately, but I can tell you that the Supreme Court has ruled on several occasions, that law enforcement agencies aren't allowed to set up roadblocks. That is unconstitutional.
Okay.
I'm sorry. They can set up roadblocks essentially, but they can't actually stop your vehicle to investigate every individual person. That's unwarranted search and seizure of your vehicle. And
so if they set up a
Amendment.
I got a question. So if they set up a roadblock to stop every car, it wouldn't like break the car, but just enough to like stop every car to like search it, that would be illegal.
Right. I mean, there was a video I watched this week earlier, and I don't think I've ever seen a video that made me more disgusted at.
I haven't got to see it. I know you told me to watch it, but I haven't got to see it yet. So
the contents of the video essentially is there's a guy. He does a 4-series. He does 4 videos going through the Transportation Safety Administration's roadblocks, and all they're asking him is they stop your vehicle. He's recording it every time, and they ask you, what nation are you from? What's your national origin? Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, or I'm sorry, what nationality you're a resident of, and they keep asking him, and he will not answer them. No matter what he does, he keeps saying, am I being detained? Am I free to go? Am I being detained? Am I free to go? Well, the fourth video, they completely stop him, and this is completely unprovoked aggression. They busted his window out and tasered him, and they bludgeoned him extremely bad. I recommend everyone going to YouTube and looking up TSA roadblocks. I can't remember the guy's name. Just do TSA roadblocks. It'll be 4 parts.
I didn't watch videos. It. I didn't watch it yet, but I just want to tell. I'm really. What's great about it is I'm angry. I'm angry without even seeing it. I am angry right now.
What's great about it afterwards is he does an interview with one of the people from his church. He's a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
He's a pastor who believes in the Constitution, and he's not required to answer any questions. The Fifth Amendment allows him not to answer any questions that he doesn't want to answer. Plus, he wasn't being detained.
Mm-hmm.
So where does the TSA get off thinking? I mean, just stopping vehicles.
So I want to ask another question. So if you were to compare, you've seen video of the Gestapo, right? Nazi Germany.
Right.
What level do you think the TSA is on compared to the Gestapo? I mean, even a little bit less?
I wouldn't say it's as radical as the Gestapo was by any means.
Okay, let's say the Gestapo was a 10, right?
I'd say this is a 5.
So a 5 compared to the Gestapo, that's still pretty bad. So
you got to think about it. How many Americans are smart enough to know that this is unconstitutional? People don't even know what the Constitution says, so they'll just answer the questions. I'm from the United States, and people say, why not just answer it? That seems kind of frivolous. Well, what's the point of giving them a hard time? It's not the principle of giving them a hard time. It's the fact that they have no jurisdiction over you while you're just driving down in your car.
Exactly. Even if you were walking down the street, they have no reason to stop you. The thing you say is, am I being detained? Am I free to go? Am I being detained? Am I free to go? Because that is your right. Even in court, you have the Fifth Amendment. But the thing is, in court, if you plead the Fifth, what they do is they lock you up until you don't plead the Fifth. And that is not right. That's not the Constitution. And from now on, my advice to people, I'm not telling you to do it. I'm not telling you not to do it. This is what I'm going to do. I want to print out the Constitution verbatim and put it in as many places as I can for people to read. Because read the Constitution. You do not have to answer questions to any police officer unless you're being arrested or detained.
You don't, and even if you are being arrested or detained or in court, the Fifth Amendment affords every individual a right not to answer a question. People don't know it.
Because if you don't answer a question, it's up to the jury to either decide if you're not answering for a reason that's bad or a reason
their
that
job
is good.
To deliberate on the evidence presented against you.
I mean, what do we have to do now? Do we have to have a jury for policemen every time they pull somebody over? We have to have like 2-3 people watching them to determine if they're doing the right thing. You know, it's insane. It's insanity for a TSA official to actually, because they preside over all transportation, pretty much, whether it be car, train. Which they haven't invaded the trains yet because I've taken Amtrak quite a bit. They haven't invaded. I haven't recently.
No, they're involved in trains. Every.
I remember. Wait, hold on. I do remember. There was a Homeland or a TSA official on there, but he didn't do much. He was a fat slob. And on the side of the train, you know, like on the buses, they have like the thing that says like the number and stuff. Well, on that kind of thing, they had a thing saying, if you see something, say something. If you see something, say something. Unwatched packages, suspicious people. It's like, you know what do we have to watch each other? It's just this paranoia that they want us to feed into. Just like look at the alerts that George Bush put into place. You know, red, green, orange alert, red, yellow. What is it? It's red, orange, yellow. And what's the other
No,
one?
red is the worst. Red means there's an imminent attack. I don't know.
But look at the
green.
Look at the
It's
color.
green.
Look at the colors though. Look at the colors though. And it's never been to green yet. But it's always like a very vibrant, like the colors that your mind associates with stop, panic, oh my God, fire,
I just think it's funny that it's a color code, like for children. I'm surprised they didn't simplify it even more. Like a square.
Like
it's a block.
It's a block. It's a block. It's a square.
Circle alert.
Excuse me, we have a triangle alert.
Right.
Imminent attack about to happen. Well, hey, I'm gonna have to cut you short because we're running out of time here. I really appreciate you calling again, Anthony. Again, we're gonna have you on next week, and we're probably gonna do the same thing, like have 15 minutes of letting callers have a chance to call in, and then have you on.
All right, Tom. Support the troops, not the war. Ron Paul for president, and I will talk to you guys. River West Radio all the time. You know this, people.
All right, man.
River West Radio.
Just tell your fellow troops, man, if they want to call in too, or if they want to watch the show, dude, I'd welcome them. Give them the website. Give all your friends the website. Anybody that's listening, just anybody you see, just give them the website. We need to get the word out. Liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness. That's my.
All right, Tom.
All right, man. Take it easy. Bye.
Peace.
All right, guys. That's the end of my show. I want to thank you guys for listening. My name is Tom Leaguer, and I am out.